we were talking a bit about like, hey, we don't go up to the door and say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jordan with Insight Test Solutions. How are you doing today? How's your day going? Right? It doesn't work. It's not effective. And it puts up extreme sales resistance right away. You're going to get every excuse in the book if that's how you approach things. I never ask people how they're doing. Because it just comes off as fake. Hey, how are you today? Good. What do you want? Right? So instead, I answer that right off the bat. I know until I've answered in that prospect's or that homeowner's mind, who am I and why am I here? Until those two questions are answered, they're not listening to a darn thing that I'm saying. All they're wondering is, who is this person and why are they at my doorstep? So, answer those things right away. Right? Don't give them this whole song and dance. So great pre-impression and immediate third party are the best ways to pre-overcome excuses. Now why would third party? First of all, what's third party? What is third party? Yep.
Like saying you're servicing like these neighbors.
Saying I'm servicing those neighbors? Yeah, okay. That is close to right. You're basically right. Someone else take a shot at it. Saw your hand go up, go ahead.
Yep, it's using like reference that's outside of yourself.
For reference that's outside of yourself, yeah, we're getting right on the right track here, so good. Building credibility. Yeah, I mean, you're all right. So first of all three of those answers were right. Third party is exactly that. Referencing someone other than you and that person, so some other third party to help give yourself credibility. Exactly, EJ. And the only thing that I would have said different from who answered the first time, and I said you were almost right, was you said we're servicing a bunch of the neighbors. I just always want to get specific with my third party. General third party is better than none, but not nearly as effective as specific third party. And so I'm talking about the difference of saying, hey, we're servicing a bunch of neighbors on the street, versus, hey, I just came from Julie's next door. Right? One is general, one is specific. Which do you think is more effective? The specific, definitely. I also use as many third parties as I can. Who has been through the all the Pulse training? Show of hands, nice and high. Who listened to the audio recording in the opening section on third party, and who can tell me how many third party references there were right off the bat in that audio recording?
They said there are 6, but it
There are 6!
But it didn't work. That's why I couldn't.
Oh, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I knew that in the title it said there were 6.
Well, hey, good job. You just proved to me that you read it, because it is 6. It's an open picture. Good job. Yeah, so like you can't do it too many times, and go on Pulse and we'll play that recording. If it's not working, we'll change the access on it. I think I know what's going on with that, so we'll get that fixed. But yeah, like there's a recording there. It's one of my pitches. I do 6 third-party references right off the bat. It's like, hey, we're sorry to bother you. The reason I'm at your door, I'm just coming from Mike's. There's also a Julie's across the street. I was over at Norm's, Joanne's, Jean-Marie. That's probably not a real name. Jean-Marie, I think I mixed man and woman names there. Yeah. It sounded like a francophone name, though. But the point is, you can't do it too much. You can't use too many third-party references. I'll use third-party references. I'll be naming neighbors that I've talked to and neighbors that I've signed up on the street until the customer literally says to me, okay, I get it. What are you doing? Good. I want them to say that. That means what I hear when they say that, and I've literally had customers say that, is you have enough credibility. I will listen to you. What the heck are you here for? Good. That's exactly what I want them to think. But be specific with your third party, and 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, people you've spoken to, people that have bought on the street, is not too much. And like you've heard a bunch of times, often too. You can continue to do that throughout your interaction, not just as a part of the initial sales pitch. For excuses, okay, so if we don't pre-resolve it, an excuse still happens, which will happen all the time. How do we overcome it? Well, it's really easy. We kind of want to sidestep it. So we acknowledge, we agree, and then we just move right past. So customer says right off the bat, that's the example here. I don't love this example, so I'm going to use, hey, my spouse handles this. No problem. I totally understand. I know in my household we share responsibilities too. But how long have you lived in the house? I'm just going to agree. I'm going to acknowledge it, agree, And then I'm just going to move right past it on with my pitch by asking a really good question. So another example. Yeah, we're not interested. No, I get it. No one's really interested in the bugs. That's my job out here. But how long have you guys been in the house? Right? I just acknowledge, I agree, and I move right past it. Why does that work, Jordan? How is that ever going to work? They're telling me they're not interested. They're telling me it's their spouse. They're telling me they don't have bugs. They're telling me they don't have time. And I'm just acknowledging and agreeing and keeping talking, and you expect that they're going to listen to me? It's like, yes, because that was never an objection. That was just their way of saying, you haven't caught my attention, please leave. So you don't have to overcome it. You don't have to work past it. Excuse me. All you have to do is kind of sidestep it. The easy way to do that, yeah, I totally understand, I get it. Everyone shares responsibilities, but how long have you guys been in the house here? Or have you heard about what's going on? Or have you been a little bit of the ants? Have you guys started noticing them yet? You just move right past it, acknowledge, agree, and ask the question. So questions themselves. So after excuses and smoke screens. Well, not to be confused with concerns or objections, and they often are. A lot of times reps will get, and not just rookie reps like I was saying before, but they'll get a simple question and they'll give the most long-winded, detailed, complicated answer ever. And that answer might even be true. But really a lot of times all it takes, especially the first time you're hearing a question, just give a simple answer to a simple question. Is this a contract? Yeah, for 1 year. I have pets and kids. Is this safe? Absolutely, 100%. Can I just do this one time? So we guarantee it, but no, it's a 1-year service. Just give simple answers. Now, if that comes up again, hey, I don't know if I want to do a whole contract, can I just do it once? Okay, well now you might have to give a much longer-winded, more detailed answer, because at that point, it's kind of elevated to the level of what we would call a concern. And so questions, when we hear the first time, we just give simple answers. They're just questions. If that question comes up again later, to me, that's now elevated to the level of concern, because I'm hearing it again. And so now I'm going to give a little bit of a more detailed response. I'm going to answer it better. Because I know if I can't do that, they may not move forward with the service. They have some hesitation that I need to clarify for them. And my simple answer wasn't good enough. The same thing on smoke screens and objections. Let's jump to objections, which should be next. So same thing on smoke screens and objections, right? First time I hear my spouse handles this, I'm going to treat it as a smoke screen or an excuse. I'm going to acknowledge it. Yeah, I totally get it. I know people share responsibilities, so no worries. Same thing in my household. But how long have you guys been in the house here? I'm just going to sidestep it. I'm not going to try and address it, overcome it. I'm not going to try and deal with the fact that this person told me it's their spouse that handles it. But what if I hear that again later? So now 10 minutes more further on into the interaction, they say to me again, yeah, but I'm going to have to talk to my spouse. Now I'm going to actually need to overcome that. Because now in my mind, I'm hearing this a second time. Not only am I hearing it a second time, I'm hearing it later in the interaction. So there's been some interest. They're not just trying to get rid of me. This is like something that I actually need to overcome or deal with if I'm going to get the sale. And so with the spousal, it's really easy. So I used to teach to overcome the spousal objection. Just get the best commitment you can from them on the spot. So be like, okay, yeah, well, hey, you can talk about it with your partner afterwards. Don't worry, it's not a done deal until the actual service is done. If you guys discuss it and you decide that this isn't a good option for you, just call me, let me know, I'll take you off the schedule. Don't worry, no cancellation fee if you cancel before the service. That's what I used to do. Stop. You know why? It doesn't really work that well. It does work from time to time. It doesn't work that well. You know what I do now? If they brought it up again, and it's the second or third time I'm hearing it, any idea what I might do? I come back. I figure out when the spouse is going to be there. I try and make an appointment, and I come back. If they're bringing it up a second time or a third time, or it's later in the process, I realize that I may actually need to talk to their spouse if they're going to take a decision to move forward. And so I set a time to come back. Now, when do I do that? First of all, always the same day. Always, 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 always. Unless it's physically impossible because the spouse is out of town. But always the same day. And never during my prime knocking hours. What do you think prime knocking hours might be? Any guesses? 2 to 9? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The evening time, after dinner time, when people are home from work, these are prime knocking hours because many more people are going to be available to speak with you during that time. The last thing I want to do is schedule my call back to go back to this person's house at 6:30 in the evening. This is going to take me off the doors for 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Heaven forbid I have to walk back a bunch of blocks between there and where I am by that time, right? So I'm always going to schedule those for after dark. because that I can't be knocking anyone else's door at that time. I don't want to take away my other time from prospecting and knocking and have that maybe cost me a sale just to go get that sale. Sure, I want to get that sale and I definitely want to come back, but let me schedule that for 9:30, when I know I'm going to be done, when it's going to be dark and I'm not going to be knocking on any new doors. That's when I want to go back to those people. So those spousal objections are quite easy to handle. But again, never the first time, because I can't overcome it the first time. I can't make an appointment to come back when the person's not even interested. They're just trying to get rid of me. So the first time that we hear an objection, we really need to treat it like a smokescreen or an excuse. And we just need to acknowledge, agree and sidestep that. We'll just go right back into asking questions and pitching. Yes?
Yeah, so when I get the objection, I need to talk to my spouse. So let's say I say, is the spouse here? And then they come to the door. This might be obvious, but do I restart my pitch again? Or how do I, my concern is I don't want to sound scripted.
Yeah, really good question. So definitely, we start your pitch. Definitely. Yeah, I get it, you don't want to sound scripted, but you also need to explain to the other person why you're there.
Right.
Don't make a joke about it. I'll be like, hey, sorry, I know you heard this already, and then I just go right back into it. And for sure, if you are coming back to an appointment, the other thing, like if you do need to come back for a spousal, and you need to come back at 9 o'clock that night, do everything you can to avoid quoting price to the first spouse, because otherwise what's going to happen is their other spouse is going to get home, and they're going to say, hey honey, the bug guy or girl came by, it's $1,000, do you want to do it? What do you think? Do they want to do it?
No.
Ever? No, they don't. Why? Because you haven't had a chance to sell them. You haven't had a chance to do all this great stuff that we've just spent the last 7 hours and with some of you, the last 7 weeks learning about. And so, no, A, they can't pitch it correctly. They don't know how to explain it right. And they're not going to do a good job. So avoid quoting price at all costs. Now, what if you've already quoted price? I ask the person not to quote price to their spouse. I'll literally ask them, I'm like, hey, fair enough. Okay, I'll come back at 9. Can you do me a favor? I just spent the last 15 minutes explaining this all to you. I don't expect you to be nearly as good as I am at it yet. Maybe you will be by the end. But would you allow me to explain what's included and even explain how the billing works and what the cost is to your partner when I come back? Would you say that for me? Would that be a fair ask? You're like, yeah, okay. I mean, they still might do it, but hey, at least you give yourself a chance, right? Better off that hopefully you haven't quoted price yet, and someone will be like, oh yeah, by the way, what's it cost? Like, let me go through that with both of you when I come back. Oh, just tell me what it costs. Can you wait? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, cool. Right? Like, I'll kind of make a bit of a joke of it, but I want to avoid quoting price at all costs, because I know if I don't at that point, they're just going to tell their partner the price, and that's going to be an automatic no, because I've had no chance to build value. Go ahead.
Yeah, how does over-explaining, or over-explaining, over-answering a question, how does that ruin the sale?
How does over-explaining ruin the sale? Oh, because you sound like you're trying to cover for something. If somebody's just like, hey, is this a contract? And you're like, yes, it is, but hey, you're protected. There's a warranty. We've got a money-back guarantee. We'll reservice it. Don't worry, you're not going to be paying for this if it doesn't work properly. If I'm that prospect, I'm going to be going, whoa, what's he trying to cover for here? What's he trying to hide? What am I missing? Versus, is it a contract? Yep, for 1 year. Cool. Now, hey, if it comes up again, it's a concern, and I need to give more of an answer, but I don't want to give too much detail the first time. Jordan?
Yeah, and to over-explain, so again, that's based in science, specific psychology. If you ever watch an interrogation or something like that, if someone's guilty, a very basic situation, and over-explain it, they give a lot more details than necessary to have the person believe them.
Yeah.
So, same thing applies, but it's true. It's not.
That raises red flags. If you give this big, long-winded, super detailed explanation to what that person thought was a simple question, they got all kinds of red flags and alarm bells going off in their brain saying, what am I missing here? What wool are they trying to pull over my eyes? Are they trying to trick me? What am I not catching, right? So we may have to give that longer explanation if it comes up again. Wait for that to happen. Okay, so one of the best questions and the most important question we get asked is, how much is it? Now you're all looking at it. So I guess I can't really quiz you, but the way that we answer that's the exact same way every time, and it's the only way to answer the how much does it cost question or how much is it. Well, what activity are you noticing? The reason I answered that question with a question, that's what I'm trying to say, answer the question with a question, is because I want to get more into my detective stage. I want to start finding out what they need. I need to be not just a problem solver, but I need to first determine what the actual problems are. And so I'm not ready to quote price yet, because I haven't had a chance to create need. Because the first part of creating need is being a good detective. If I haven't had a chance to be a good detective yet, I don't really understand what's going on, well, I'm not ready to quote price yet, because I haven't had a chance to create need. And if I haven't created need, who the heck's going to buy something they don't need? An example I've used many times, I'll use it briefly right now, is you might offer me the very best deal in the world ever possible on the most beautiful, stunning My Little Pony. But if I don't want or need a My Little Pony, it doesn't matter how good a price it is. It doesn't matter if that price is today only. It doesn't matter if you're the nicest guy in the world or girl in the world. If I don't think I need that thing, I am not buying it no matter how good the deal is or how much time urgency there is. Versus, if you spend some time explaining to me that these My Little Ponies are collectible, they're very rare, you can resell them, they're extremely desirable, there's all these reasons in the world why you might want it. Now do you want to get price on it? Okay, maybe I do. Right? So if you can create need, or in our situation, be a really good detective and teacher, you're going to significantly increase the odds of them actually being interested in wanting to purchase it. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, it doesn't matter how good the price is. They don't need it. Jordan and Abel.
Or also, if 5 of your friends just bought a My Little Pony, even that in itself, you're going to be a lot more intrigued to buy. And that's what sort of part of
That's a really good point, Jordan. Yeah, if you didn't hear, if 5 of your friends had just recently bought a My Little Pony, in our silly example, you might be a lot more open to at least hearing about it. Why is everyone so interested in this stuff? Good catch.
Just on that note, like I've definitely jokingly offered some customers who were like kind of mean and like had zero interest in the service. Like, hey, yeah, like it's free. Like I literally tell them it's completely free, no catch. Like, nah, I'm good.
I promise you can't give this service away if they don't think they need it. You truly can't. If you didn't hear what Alo had to say, he said he's been like frustrated sometimes, be like, yeah, it's free. You can have it for completely free if you want. There's no catch, it's free. And they're like, no thanks, please get off my website.
Yeah.
Right? And I've done the same. Experienced reps, who's tried that? Who's done that? Show of hands. Were you able? I know you couldn't give it away because I didn't hear about it. It didn't cause a big problem. So I know you couldn't give it away, but I've done the exact same thing. You can't give this away if you don't create it. So the only way we respond to how much is it is what are you noticing? Okay, so concerns, I briefly touched on this, but yeah, it's just a question raised again. That question comes up again. It's now a concern, not an objection. The difference being an objection needs to be overcome if they're going to move forward. An objection is a legitimate reason for them not to buy the service if it can't be overcome. Versus a concern is just something that they need to have answered in a little bit more detail before they can move on. It's a little bit different. So with objection handling, the big thing to keep in mind is this: AQR. Acknowledge, question, respond. That is our sort of structure for overcoming objections. Right? So when that spousal objection now comes up, when that I don't do contracts comes up for a second time, okay, maybe that's an objection. Now, I don't know if I want chemicals in my house, and that's the second time it's coming up. That's an objection. Now, so we want to acknowledge, we want to ask questions, we want to respond. So talking about chemicals, here's the example. So I don't use chemicals. Second time. Yeah, you have to be careful, that's for sure. I'm acknowledging. Right? People want to feel heard. They want you to feel that you have heard what they have said. Another good way is to repeat it. I'm hearing you. You're not so sure about chemicals around the house. That makes sense to me. Right? You can rephrase it. That's a great way of making someone feel heard. Have you had a bad experience before? Question. What did they say? I don't have the response there. Okay. Have you had a bad experience before? Yes, no, maybe. Oh, I don't know. I just like to be careful. Oh, we're all organic here. Okay, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. I use organic cleaner in my house, so I get it. Karen, a few doors down, she said the exact same thing. Reason that ultimately she decided to go with us or have us come next week is that we don't use any of those harsh chemicals. In fact, the stuff that we use is actually approved for use in hospitals and daycares. And it's actually got less toxicity than the dish soap that you probably have sitting under your sink. Extremely safe, and especially when used properly. So totally get it. No one wants extra chemicals around their house. which is exactly why we don't do it. Okay, so now I'm acknowledging, I'm asking questions, then I'm responding. And that same AQR structure can be used for essentially any objection. And with that, we're actually going to do some practice on that right now. Okay, so guys, what we're going to do is we're going to jump back into our same breakout groups as we did before with the opening pitch. So we're going to have Montreal West, Central, Quebec City, Central Quebec, and Ottawa. Guys, go to the exact same place in the room that you were before. And managers, take a look at the screen for the objections, the list of objections that you're going to be having your reps work to overcome, following that AQR structure. Acknowledge, question,